On August 15, 1947, we attained independence. Alongside, the great ancient land of Bharat was partitioned on communal lines. On the one hand, when the Congress leadership and the Muslim leadership were preparing themselves for independence and taking over the rulership, British colonialists led by Lord Mountbatten were trying to execute the India's Independence Act hurriedly. Many parts of Akhand Bharat were witnessing riots, mayhems, murders and inhuman crimes against women. Gandhiji was taking tours in eastern parts of Bharat. The second Sarsangh Chalak of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Shri Golwalkar Gurji, was travelling in the western part, which constitute Pakistan now. RSS was running many refugee camps. Muslim League leaders were busy not just preparing for Pakistan, but also instigating communal frenzy mobs on the ground. A book by researcher and author Shri Prashant tried to put together developments of this fortnight of August 1947 in his book, which is one of the best sellers, called Wo 15 Din, which is translated as Those 15 Days. This year, Organizer is taking you through the developments of those 15 days, going through the most happening 15 days towards Bharat's independence alongside the communal partition will provide new insights to the viewers and inspire them to take up research on various aspects of conversations, communications and negotiations, as well as the kind of communal frenzy things happening on the ground about India's independence and the great partition of this land. Those 15 days. August 15th, 1947. This day, India did not go to sleep at all. Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Madras, Bangalore, Lucknow, Indore, Patna, Vadodara, Nagpur, so many names to recount. Every nook and corner of the country had erupted in joy literally since the previous night. And that was why lack of enthusiasm was witnessed in Pakistan in a glaring contrast. People who had left their house to celebrate on the roads could be seen walking around the city the entire night, finally returned to their homes. Now they waited expectantly for their newspapers. They were eager to know what the press had to say about this ceremony of freedom. But on this particular day, it so happened that newspapers arrived rather late because everyone had to carry the midnight's report. Each one had given an 8-column headline. The title of Hindustan Times of India was India's Independent, British Rule Ends. The Statesman from Calcutta published Two Dominions Are Born. The Hindustan from Delhi gave the headline शताब्दियों की दास्तां के बाद भारत में स्वतंत्रता की मंगल प्रभात. Dawn from Karachi said, Birth of Pakistan, an event in history. Calcutta was also awake all night. People wanted to experience the freedom to the full, but a very miraculous change was perceptible in the city. There was no trace of tension between Hindus and Muslims. The Hindus and Muslims who were vying for each other's blood just 2 or 3 days ago were now walking arm in arm. Slogans of Hindu-Muslim unity were being raised in the city, and the credit for this miracle undoubtedly went to Gandhiji, who had come to stay in a nondescript house like Haidari Manzil in Beliaghat. Haidari Manzil had then become the pilgrimage center in Calcutta. Hordes of people flocked since then to catch a glimpse of Gandhiji, at least from a distance. Signs were such that the picture would be same every day. For Gandhiji, dawn broke as usual. He got up at 3 o'clock in the morning as he usually used to. In the day's work, he added the task of cleaning the toilet also. After attending to all the programs, Gandhiji left to take a stroll as any other day. That day he planned to go on a fast for a long time and spend most of the time in spinning the yarn. In Singapore, when it was 8 o'clock in the morning in India, it was about 11 o'clock in distant Singapore. The Indian community had organized grand ceremonies for flag hoisting at Archer Road, Waterloo Street and Serangoon Road to coincide with India's freedom. There was confusion about the national anthem to be played at the event, and hence the Indians in Singapore composed the following song as India's anthem, which said, Sudha sukh chain ki barakha barase, Bharat bhag hai jaga. And on the similar lines, this song was sung in all the programs in Singapore. In Calcutta, Beliaghat, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. Officials of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Government of India had come to record Gandhiji's reaction. However, Gandhiji's reply was flat. I have nothing to say. When he was persuaded that it would be not proper for him not to say anything, Gandhiji's outright reply was, I don't have any message. If it does not look good, then let it be so. After some time, BBC correspondents arrived to broadcast his views to the world. But Gandhiji's reply was the same to them too. Delhi, Viceregal Palace. The residence of former viceroys, the Royal Palace. However, it had now become the Governor's House, and Lord Mountbatten, the first Governor General of India, was to take the oath here. The Grand Darbar Hall in Governor's House was all set for the day's event. Despite it being morning, all the lights and chandeliers in the hall were brightly lit. The formal program started exactly at 9 a.m. The program began with the blowing of silver tutari, the Indian horn, followed by the blowing of a conch shell. The Viceroy's residents got to hear the sound of tutari and conch shell for first time ever. Lord Mountbatten, clad in starched clothes, stood next to new Chief Justice, Sir Harilal Kania. He kissed the Bible and took the oath. Darbar Hall was packed with ministers, members of the Constituent Assembly and officials. Yet, the kings and the princes, always present on such occasions, were absent on this historic day. At Calcutta, Beliaghat, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Gandhiji dictated a letter to his British friend, Miss Agatha Harrison, while spinning the yarn. In it, he wrote with jest, received the letter you had sent through Rajaji. Of course, Rajaji could not have given it himself because common people have gathered since yesterday in his governor's house to see the British home. Then Gandhiji dictated a letter to the newly appointed ministers of West Bengal. In it, he urged them to follow his favorite principles: truth, non-violence and humility. While warning them about misuse of power, Gandhiji said, and I quote, "Remember, power corrupts. Do not forget that you are here to serve the poor." Unquote. After some time, around 10 o'clock in the morning, the newly appointed governor of West Bengal, Chakravarti Rajagopalachari, came to meet Gandhiji. This meeting was very emotional. Two sages who had striven for freedom were meeting here. Immediately at the meeting, Rajaji said, "Bapu, congratulations. You have literally done magic in Calcutta." But Gandhiji's reply was rather short. "But I am not satisfied. Until they do not return to their homes charged during the riots, till then it seems nothing has been achieved." Rajaji recounted to him some anecdotes from the previous day's program. As Gandhiji was on a fast, there was no question of eating anything. Rajaji was set to leave after an hour. Mumbai, Savarkar Sadan. Tatyarao Vinayak Damodar Savarkar was a bit sad since the morning. He had not eaten anything. This feeling of a divided India had hurt him deep inside. He felt deep in his heart that the country was going in the hands of extremely weak people. Still there is joy of freedom. The freedom for which he had suffered double sentence of Kalapani in exile and 15 years of detention, endured in an obscure cell in the Andamans, extracted oil through oil press, and that very freedom was achieved. It was almost 10 o'clock. Many Hindu Mahasabha workers had come to meet Tatyarao. Revolutionary Veer Vinayak Damodar Savarkar raised two flags in the presence of them all. One was saffron as a symbol of undivided India, and the other was India's national flag, the tricolor. After offering flowers to both these flags, Tatyarao stood still for some time. In Delhi, it was about 10:30 in the morning. The event had been organized to unfurl the tricolor with the symbol of Ashok Chakra, the official national flag of India. All the recently sworn in ministers, officials, and senior Congress leaders had started reaching the council house from the Viceregal Palace. The program was short and simple. Nehru was to hoist the national flag soon. However, people in large numbers had gathered around the circular council house on the hill. They were all citizens of independent India now. Common Indians had no access to this place during British rule, but now the situation had changed. Therefore, these people came chanting slogans of Vande Mataram in a flow of emotions like joy, curiosity, enthusiasm, and hailing Gandhiji and Nehru. They could not understand what they were supposed to do and what not. Nehru had arrived. His cabinet colleagues were with him. The tricolor was being unfurled for the first time in this council hall built on a hill by Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker. The national anthem has not been decided upon as yet. Therefore, the people were filling the air with the chants of Vande Mataram. Lahore, DAV College. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The refugee camp of Punjab Sahayata Samiti, run by Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, was situated in the college premises and hostel. The Swayamsevak doctors, students, some women doctors and nurses were together running this small hospital with 20 cots. Hindus and Sikhs from West Punjab were crowding in this camp, leaving their homes and family, farms, shops, factories and other businesses behind, abandoning them for good. The situation here had become extremely tense, just as entire India was celebrating the joy of independence since the previous night. Hordes of Hindus and Sikhs were arriving in the camp to escape from the clutches of death. The stories narrated by them were literally both mind-numbing and infuriating. Muslim ruffians had abducted sisters and wives of many, while womenfolk of others had jumped into the wells. Daily at exactly 1:30 p.m., Kulwant Singh brought meals for the patients, doctors and nurses at this small hospital. Some Swayamsevaks prepared the meal in the Hindu area of Bhati Gate at Lahore. But even this had become difficult since the last 3-4 days. A Swayamsevak, namely Deen Dayal, went to see why Kulwant Singh had not arrived that day, even after 2:15. Deen Dayal was a Karyavah, that is General Secretary of the RSS. On the way, he had noticed that some people gathered at a spot. As he drew close, he saw Kulwant Singh lying in a pool of blood on the road. His motorcycle lay nearby, and streams of curry flowing from the tiffins tied to the motorcycle was mixing in his blood. Some Muslims had stabbed and murdered RSS Swayamsevak at Lahore, Kulwant Singh, who served defense to Hindu Sikh patients in broad daylight while ministers were taking oath at Darbar Hall in Delhi. Gandhiji was busy writing a letter to the cabinet to let Muslims live safely in Beliaghat, Calcutta. At Delhi's India Gate, a grand ceremony to hoist the tricolour had been organized. The ground was swelling with people. The ground was muddy at some places due to the rain, yet people did not mind it at all. Their excitement and joy was at zenith. Exactly at 4:30 p.m., Nehru unfurled the tricolour. It had rained recently, and as the tricolour made its way up in the sky, a beautiful rainbow emerged from behind. A truly mesmerizing scene. Mountbatten continued to stare at it without batting an eyelid. The eastern border in Calcutta, Beliaghat area, it was about 5 o'clock in the evening. Gandhiji's evening prayer had been arranged in the Roshanbagh grounds near Beliaghat. It was to be Gandhiji's first evening prayer in independent India. Therefore, it was predicted that people would attend the function in large numbers. Gandhiji was determined to walk to the grounds. The spot was quite close by. It took 5 minutes to reach there at times. However, there was a huge crowd gathered on the ground. This ground with a capacity of 30,000 was filled to the brim and swelling. That was why it took Gandhiji 20 minutes to reach the stage put up in the ground. After prayers and little yarn spinning, Gandhiji began to speak slowly. I am repeating the same thing that I said yesterday. Congratulations to you, Hindus and Muslims in Calcutta. You have made the impossible possible. Now let the Muslims go to the temple and Hindus to the mosque. Thus, this unity will become stronger. Of course, I have heard the reports of Muslims being harassed at some places. Remember, no Muslim should be harmed in Calcutta and of course Howrah. Then Gandhiji mentioned the incident that had taken place in Raj Bhavan at midnight. He said, some people think that getting independence means that all the restrictions on them are over. They can do whatever they like, but this is not right. Whatever happened today morning in Raj Bhavan was very unfortunate. We should use this freedom rightly. We should behave with those Europeans who chose to live in India the same way as we expect them to behave with us. After this evening prayer, Gandhiji ended his 24-hour fast by sipping lemon juice. The country was once again liberated, thereby ending the darkness of ages. It remained a huge challenge to change the attitudes which had somewhat hardened due to slavery of generations. Partition had taken place, but it was not based on any criteria. If one argued that Jinnah created Pakistan for Muslims, then it too was a fact that more Muslims lived in Hindustan than in the newly created Pakistan. The Congress had dismissed the plan to exchange the population as urged by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Many parts of the country were literally burning in the wildfire of communal hatred, and signs were such that it could spread far. The Kashmir issue was still not solved. The princely state of Nizam, with its huge landmass, had not still merged with India, and Hindus were being tortured. Goa was still under the rules of Portuguese. Pondicherry and Chandnagar also had not come back to India. We had lost the northwest frontier province because of Nehru's adamance. While welcoming the independence, one was overwhelmed with fear on looking at this picture of independence. We had become very weak in defense and strategic perspective in their absence. There was a question mark on the future of the country because of the weak leadership and lack of vision. Even as the country had become independent and entered new age, all these issues danced menacingly before it. It was certain that the future of the country would be secured only if the country was entrusted in the hands of strong, powerful, and far-sighted leadership. This was August 15th, 1947, when India finally attained independence. So, after August 15th, India became independent but in divided form. And what next? Unfortunately, the naive dream of Gandhiji had harbored for the Muslim League turned out to be false. Gandhiji thought as the Muslim League had wanted Pakistan and got it, they would not trouble anymore. And why? He had said in the refugee camp at Wah border on August 5th that Muslim leaders have assured that Hindus will not be harmed in any way. Even Jinnah had said this in Pakistan Assembly that Pakistan is for all faiths. However, this was not true. Never. Riots broke out after independence. Large-scale riots broke out in the last week of August, September and October of 1947. On August 17, Redcliffe announced the line of partition. This was followed with terrible bloodshed. Millions became homeless. Many became estranged from their kith and kin forever. About 10 lakh people were killed in this massacre following partition. More than 1.5 crore people were displaced. What did we get out of this freedom? Dhakeshwari, the goddess of Dhaka, became a stranger for Indians. Visiting the Kali temple of Barisal and bathing in Durga Sagar became impossible for us. Nanakana Sahib, the birthplace of Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, the founder of Sikhism, was no longer part of our country. The holy Gurudwara Panja Sahib was no longer ours. It was not possible for us as Indians to visit even Mother England's Day. What sin had we committed that our own country had now become foreign for us? The headquarters of the Punjab Border Force was set on fire in Lahore on Independence Day itself. Muslim soldiers of the Gilgit Scouts revolted in October and occupied the whole of Gilgit-Baltistan. In the second fortnight of October, the Pakistani army, disguised as villagers, invaded and occupied parts of Kashmir. Finally, Maharaja Hari Singh signed the letter of accession on October 27th. In March 1948, Pakistan occupied the entire Kalat sector, which is now Balochistan. Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah died on September 11, 1948, and within a week, on September 17, 1948, the vast Hyderabad state was annexed to India through police action. Gandhiji was assassinated on January 30, 1948. Attempts had been made on his life twice before. Lord Mountbatten left India and returned to England on June 21, 1948. The future of every character, every person during those 15 days was different. Very different. Those 15 days taught us a lot. We saw Nehru ready to unfurl the Union Jack in India at the behest of Mountbatten. On the same day and at the same time when Gandhiji was telling the refugees in Lahore, if Lahore is falling to death, you should face death with a smile, the chief of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Shri Golwalkar Guruji, was giving the mantra of getting inspiration from King Dahir, unite and live with courage, just 800 miles away from Gandhiji at Hyderabad in Sindh. At a time when Congress President's wife Sucheta Kruplani was telling Sindhi women in Karachi that Muslim goons tease you because of your makeup and low-cut blouses, Mausi Ji Ketkar of Rashtra Sevika Samiti was trying to make Hindu women empowered and strong while becoming cultured at Karachi. While the Hindu workers of the Congress were trying to flee from Punjab and Sindh to India, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh Swayamsevaks were risking their lives to protect the Hindus and Sikhs and bring them safely back to India. There was a difference, a huge difference in thinking, in working style, in behavior, in everything. There was a vast difference. And what was the scene on the first anniversary of independence? On August 15, 1948, the Swayamsevaks who had protected Hindus and Sikhs were confined to prisons. They were falsely accused in the name of Gandhi's assassination. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, which was trying to keep the country together, trying to unite it, protecting the country with its whole might, with whatever force it had, was banned. Sarasangh Chalak of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Shri Guruji Golwalkar, who had encouraged the Swayamsevak and envisioned a strong nation, was lodged in jail. Swatantraveer Savarkar, Prince of Revolutionaries, who insisted that our country should be well equipped with military power, was also in jail. And who enjoyed the power? Nehru, who lost the Northwest Frontier Province only due to his stubbornness, and who had acquiesced to British rule, who had grown up in the English culture and was unduly awed by it. Those 15 days determined to whom we were going to entrust the power. The saga of those 15 days ends here. Those were the 15 days from August 1st to August 15th in 1947.